Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Joining me today, you know him, you love him, you've grown up reading him. It's Vivek Jacob.
Just couldn't wait to get that in there.
I didn't know I was going to do that, and then I did it.
Oh, man. What a start. What a welcoming start. I'm so
that's how we do it here.
So eager to share all my years of wisdom.
Yes, absolutely. I'm always eager to hear your years of wisdom. Joining us as well is the puppy Zelda. Say hi, Zelda. Say hi, Zelda. She was attempting to chew on a packet of mints that I've taken away from her, so now she's upset. And she's looking for something else that's not a toy to chew on my desk. So that's where we're at. Do I have toys for her on the desk? Yes, I do. Could I have her not on the desk? I could, but then I can't keep an eye on her. Even with her tethered on her leash, she'll find something. Oh, look at that. It's my keys. It's my keys. You're not going to chew on the keys. Okay. You're going to calm down. There we go. I was trying to think of a way to segue this into like Rob Pelinka and what the Lakers office must be like. I didn't come up with it fast enough.
You'd probably chew on Pelinka's jacket.
Oh, as he should. I did give Pelinka the hottie highlight of the week last week. Because I mean, he really was the winner of the week. Like, let's be real. Like he won the week, and to be so rich and to wear an ill-fitting jacket is incredible to me. Like, you know, you're so wealthy, just get a jacket that fits, you know? But it wasn't so much the jacket, it was more the strut that I gave him the hottie highlight for. Like, his strut was like very
I just traded for Luka Doncic.
Yeah, it was very like, I just secured my job for another 10 years. Take that, haters.
Yeah. No question.
Who's Westbrook? Who's Westbrook? Never heard of him. Don't need to anymore. Okay. I got Luka, and we can all stop talking about what a bad GM I am. Although it did very much fall into his lap. Like,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. And since then, we have AD injured in his first game. That's got to be like some of the worst luck ever. And then as well, I mean, Luka's played 2 games with the Lakers. He's had subpar numbers, I would say, for him. Hold on, I'm going to put her down. Sorry, don't mind me. Hi. There we go. Let's see if she stays here. Vivek, sorry. How are we? Are we all still here?
Yes.
You're just waiting for me.
We are all here.
Sorry.
We are gonna get into, you know, all of the Luka, AD, Nico of it all.
I think I called him Niles last week or something. I was like, what's that guy's name? Niles? I was just so angry. You know, I'm like, I'm not even a Mavs fan, and I was just so pissed off about the whole thing.
He looks like he could be a Niles.
Yeah. You know?
Niles Harrison.
Yeah. Anyways, they kicked a couple fans.
That might be his name in witness protection.
It might have to be. And then he can join I don't know, Sideshow Bob or something. But anyway, that's a reference to the fact that Frazier, it's a whole thing. Okay, so the Mavericks, they kicked some fans out of the audience for chanting they want the GM to get fired. I want the GM to get fired. And I'm not even a huge fan. But I find the whole thing to be completely ridiculous, and I can't blame them. And then obviously, like, Anthony Davis getting injured just really sucks, and literally all their bigs are injured right now. Vivek, what are your thoughts on the whole fiasco?
So, obviously a bad trade. Obviously one that does not make sense in terms of the basketball, in terms of the narrative that they're pushing of like, oh, this is a win now move Well, you just went to the NBA Finals with the guy you traded. So you had a guy you could win now with, in the future with,
Oh
and
no.
you just decided to move on. So the trade doesn't make sense. What I will say is I do have some sympathy for Nico Harrison. Maybe sympathy is too strong a word because at the end of the day, he's a multimillionaire. So,
Yeah, he'll be just fine even in witness protection.
yeah. And I think, the amount of criticism and hate that he's getting, where it's gotten into death threats and all of that, that feels a little, when you're at a retail store and you see someone just completely going off on the cashier or whoever, and it's like they're just following whatever rules that they've been made to follow. And in this case, I think it really just comes down to ownership saying, we are not paying Luka Doncic a 5-year, $350 million deal. And
that's your theory.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. I don't think that they were willing to pay him that, and it pretty much came down to, can you either find a way to get Luka Doncic on a 5-year, $280 million deal, whatever the number was that they were comfortable with, or find another solution. And the other solution was to move him. Now, the part where Nico Harrison absolutely deserves criticism is in the trade that he's done. Because you could absolutely find a better deal than this.
He didn't even try. That's the crazy thing. That it's like everyone has openly admitted that he didn't even try to get a better deal.
Yeah, like you criticize Luka Doncic for his fitness and his work ethic and this and that. Basically, his ability to be on the court is your biggest concern. And you trade him for Anthony Davis, who is as injury prone as it comes. And yeah, granted, the last couple of years until this latest injury have been pretty good, but that would not be the guy at the top of my list if I'm trying to sell, durability and availability. So I think it was a failure from that standpoint. I think it was a failure just in terms of getting as much as they could from the Lakers, because you bet when Nico Harrison said, hey, we need to keep this hush hush because, as soon as word gets out, it's going to be really difficult and all of that Rob Pelinka was just giddy and saying, yes, let's keep it a secret, because as soon as someone finds out about this, they're going to offer you a better deal than I can.
Yeah.
And if I was Nico in that situation, I would have just said, hey, these are the demands. We want all your remaining first round picks that you can actually offer. We want Dalton Connect. We want whatever other piece that you might want. And if you aren't willing to meet that, then we will go public. And what's Rob Pelinka going to do? So I think from that standpoint, he deserves all the criticism that he gets.
Yeah, and like when I heard the death threat rumors, I was kind of like, well, duh. Like they showed up with a whole coffin to the stadium. I mean, yeah, that's gonna happen. I mean, obviously, like there's boundaries to all of this, but oh my gosh, don't. Oh my god, she like never barks. Anyway, it was like literally the one time where I was like, yeah, duh, when I heard that someone was getting but yes, and then on the Lakers side of things, Luka, I'm not reading into this like he's had a rough start so far. It's literally been 2 games. It's like right before the All-Star weekend. I feel like people are never fully like, I don't know. I feel like people tend to be a bit lax going into the All-Star break. But also he's coming off an injury and all these different things. And they literally don't have a center. Where like the Mavericks have like 4 centers now.
They're all injured. Gaffer is injured.
Yeah.
Derek Lively's injured.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is injured.
They're all injured. But okay, this is the thing I was going to say about the Lakers, and I apologize, everyone. I'm just so distracted with this dog, and she'll behave as time goes on. Um, there are rumors that they are going to go after Giannis in the offseason. And imagine if that works out. And now they have Luka and Giannis. We're going to see Pelinka winning like GM of the year or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there is a world, a very realistic world where Luka and Giannis are together.
I mean, I don't know how realistic it is, but it's definitely a crazy scenario. And if there were any concerns about the NBA ratings, guess what? Giannis and Luka on the same team
Yeah, that's a way to
in
boost
LA.
ratings. Absolutely, that's a way to boost ratings.
Yeah. Very convenient.
But you don't think it's realistic at all?
I mean, I think Giannis would have to consider it. I think we've seen Giannis rumors before, and maybe that's where some of my skepticism comes in, because he's been just so loyal to the Bucks franchise.
Right.
And yeah, like at the end of the day, he's a guy who is under contract, and his player option comes up in 2027, 28. So it's not until, the summer of 2027 where he'd potentially be a free agent. So is there a trade offer? Like, is Nico Harrison going to go be the GM of the Bucks now and just hand over Giannis?
Well, I think it would be more in free agency.
Yeah, so that's not for a couple of years, right? Like,
is it not for a couple of years? I thought it was this summer.
No, Giannis is under contract until 2027.
Oh.
So
yeah, what are they going to do? Trade LeBron? Okay, I take it back. Do I sound different with my mic like this?
Slightly, maybe.
Slightly different, but you can still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Dog is on crack right now. Like, oh my God. Like, I do feel bad for Anthony Davis. I will say that. Like, he's a very good player. And I'm sure he's seeing all this hoopla. Like, not only is Dallas like so upset to lose Luka, everyone in LA seems only happy to gain Luka. Like, you don't see anyone being like, how do you get rid of Anthony Davis? You know what I mean? And then he gets injured in his first game. And I feel like that's got to be tough. And I don't think I saw him on the bench last night against the Warriors. Like, I don't think he's with the team right now, even though it was a home game. So, I mean, I feel like if you're him, it's like you got to get yourself as integrated with the team as you can. I mean, maybe he just wanted to go on his all-star break early, which I could also understand. They have a game again tonight too. We record this on Thursday, but it's one of those situations where like maybe no one's gonna play. Okay, all-star weekend. We've got a new format. We've got 4 different teams competing. Vivek, how do you feel about the new format?
I mean, sure, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's just lost so much of its appeal. I would probably be going the other way and getting more traditional with it, rather than like trying to make it super, super unique with these races to 40 points and
right.
3 all-star teams. And that was the other thing that confused me. It's like, okay, so you've changed the format. There are technically 15 starters now because you've got these 3 teams, but the fan voting, media voting, player voting was all just for 10 starters. Like, why?
Mm-hmm. Well, and the other thing I found really confusing about all of this is that like they did those drafts, so now it's like, oh, it's the OGs versus the rising stars versus like the international players and stuff like that. And it's like, why didn't you just make it that in the first place? Like, why do this fake draft where everyone's like pretending it's that way? I just felt like, why not just own that? You know what I mean? Just like be like, this is what we're going to do. I think that would have gotten people more hyped up than to do this like draft. Like, oh no, we're not drafting it that way. Look, Trae Young's gonna be on the International Stars. No one wants Trae Young to be a part of America. I mean, it's just like, just own it, you know?
Yeah, and so, like, for me, I would probably just go, old school East versus West. I would probably bring back, when they just used to wear their, team jerseys. Um, and I thought that added a funkiness that was fun. But I guess, you
Well,
got to
then you
sell.
can't sell the jerseys.
Exactly. So that you got to sell the jerseys. So yeah, I think I probably would have leaned that way. If the only alternate thing that I would prefer is just go Team USA versus the world, like that, I would absolutely tune in for. Like,
That's what I've been wanting for years, and I
yeah,
feel like they don't wanna do it because 'cause they're, like, chicken or something,
yeah,
and I'm like, "That's lame.
yeah,
That's really, really lame to me. You're just afraid you're gonna lose? Like,
yeah,
what?" Like, to me, that's a very non-American attitude, actually. To
yeah,
just be like, "Oh, we're not gonna compete because 'cause we're afraid to lose." Like, how non-American of you.
yeah.
And then
So
I go, and then I make it happen. See, Adam Silver, I have ideas. Hire me. Put me on a plane with the dog. Thank you.
yeah, because there would have been a time where it was too soon, right? Where
Mhm.
you had like a few really good international players, and then
Yeah,
you
if it
kind
was
of
like Dirk
that
and Steve
seasons like,
Nash
and now
and Mutombo.
you've got like these potentially like crazy lineups that you could watch out there. And I mean, I guess we're kind of gonna get it with these teams that have been selected, but it would have been cooler to just see them go up against
Yeah.
a team US.
Yeah, I
And
guess, yeah, there might be some players that don't make the team in that format. Possibly? Yeah,
yeah,
probably.
yeah, and
Okay.
because it isn't being sold that way, I feel like there's still not going to be that level of competition,
Yeah, I feel like they're
where
just trying to be like, "Ooh, let's test it out. Ooh, I don't know."
yeah. Whereas I think if you were coming in saying, "Hey, this is the first year we're doing Team USA versus Team World," I think from both sides you would get people saying, "Yeah, we absolutely do not want to lose this game." I guarantee you, you know, Giannis and company will be like, "We are coming to win this game," you
Mm,
know. And I think that would then bring back what we're all missing, which is the spirit of competition.
mhm.
And we have not watched a competitive game since Kyle Lowry took 3 charges at
Yep,
the end of that that 2020 game.
yep.
Um, and so I think there's some potential special memories that have been lost over these last few years. Last year's was an absolute farce. That
Mhm.
was probably the worst of it. Um, and yeah, maybe on some level, I'm thinking there's a solution when there really isn't, and we've just reached a point where player salaries are so high that they are just never going to care about a game like this again.
Yeah, because I feel like and I think I said this, like, quite a few weeks ago on the pod, was just like, if they don't care, why is we as fans should care? And I
Yep.
feel like that hurts it more than anything. It's like, you're not giving us a reason to care. It's like, even with all these format changes, it's like, it's all about incentivizing the players to care, but it's not incentivizing us as a fan base, and I don't particularly like that.
Yep. Yep. No, I'm totally with you on that.
But I mean, with that being said, like, I hope this format thing works. I really do want to see an international versus America um all-star game. I just think it'd be incredible. And I think they would be pumped for that without, the financial incentives and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
I have zero opinions on the dunk contest. I don't know if you do. I don't know if you've been paying attention, if you have a name that we should be looking out for or anything like that.
So I have actually seen some clips of Matas Buzelis. He's been in a dunk contest before. He's a pretty creative guy, so I think
Cool.
we might see some funky stuff from him. Obviously, we've seen Mac McClung do his thing before.
Is he back?
Yes, he is. Mac McClung is back in the dunk contest.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two are Stephon Castle and Andre Jackson Jr., I believe. I haven't seen much of those two when it comes to dunking. So in terms of expectations, I probably just lay it on Buzelis and McClung.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what do you make of fans being brought into the dunk contest as the fifth judge?
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're basically you're going to be able to get on the NBA app or whatever, and in real time as the dunks happen, you can submit a score out of 10 for each dunk, and then the average of every fan that submits a vote will be like a fifth judge score.
Mm. Okay, here's the thing. I don't like it, but at the same time, I feel like this is Dwayne Wade's fault.
Yes,
Remember when he voted for, I don't even remember that guy's name, but he was a Heat player and he
I think it
absolutely
was
didn't.
Derek Jones Jr.
Oh, yeah. And like he absolutely did not deserve to win, but
Yeah,
then he won. And so maybe they're like, well, that will prevent this type of thing from happening. But
but you could go the other way now.
you
Where the
could
fans,
absolutely go the other way now. Like people might just vote for Matt McClung because he's a fan favorite.
or you might one day have Zaza Pachulia in a dunk contest, and everyone just votes for Zaza Pachulia because
He's Zaza. I mean, it'd be really funny is if we could vote for who we want to see in the dunk contest. That would be
yes,
incredible.
yes.
But that will never happen. Yeah, I
See
know.
now there's an idea.
Thank you, Adam Silver. I'm here.
Send
Pay
that
me.
check.
Don't rip me off, Adam. You have money. You have money.
Yes,
Even
he does.
my dog's wiggling. Like, write the check. The 3-point contest. We're not getting the Sabrina, Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson thing. Caitlin Clark said she wants her first 3-point contest to be the WNBA All-Star Game, which I actually really appreciate. And in all fairness, like Sabrina got to compete in that first, and that's where she set the record, and that's what sparked the whole thing.
Yep.
I am gonna miss it, but I respect the decision, and I'm glad she gave us the reason why, because I just feel like if she didn't and she just declined it, then it would just be a whole other hoopla. I do feel like she has such a microscope on her too that but on the flip side, one of the reasons why I love Sabrina so much is because she is that Kobe like competitor where she's like, just bring it. Like, I don't care. Competition. I'm here. Bring it on. I'll shoot from the NBA line. Like, I don't care about all this. And like, I absolutely love that about her. So I feel like I hope we get to see this competition in the future, even if it's next year. But yeah, I don't like, I just feel like it won't be the same without it because it was just so good.
Yeah. No, I think it will be a different element, but at the same time, like I really enjoyed the 3-point contest, so I'm looking forward to rooting for Norm. Having Norm Powell
Oh,
in the contest will be
yeah.
cool, and I'll definitely be hoping that he wins it. He's had an awesome season, and
Yes, he has.
uh,
Almost an all-star.
almost an all-star. Bang bang.
Do you feel like the 3-point contest should be the headlining event, or are you still like, no, the dunk contest has to be the headlining event?
Yeah, I think it's been that way for a few years. I think maybe there's a little bit of a question to be asked: is it still the headline event if you don't have, like, obviously you haven't had Steph for a couple of years now, but if Damian Lillard isn't there anymore, if
True.
some of the other guys aren't there, and so maybe that's a question to be asked. And
Are there no stars in the 3-point contest this year?
so, I mean, 5 of the 8 guys are all stars.
But they're not superstars.
Yeah. So, if I look at the names, you've got Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Darius Garland, Tyler Hero, Buddy Hield, Cameron Johnson, Damian Lillard, and Norman Powell. So, beyond Brunson and Dame, those aren't like the superstar quite pull, right?
Right. But still more so than the dunk contest.
No question about that.
But you still think the dunk contest should still be the finale of the night?
No, I think, again, like the 3-point contest, probably like with all these Steph years, with Dame having his moments, all of that, like I think that's when it should have been,
That's when they should have flipped it back then.
Yeah. And so now I just wonder if maybe you've kind of missed the boat a little bit, where if you move, like say, for example, if this is Dame's last year doing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all due respect to, whoever it might be, Darius Garland, Tyler
Yeah, and I
Hero,
don't think Brunson's gonna win it. Like,
am I going to get super hype about, one of them going off, the way you did with, say, a Dame or a Steph.
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even see Brunson getting to the second round of that.
I think it'd be interesting. He's more of like an in-game shooter. I don't know if he's going to be great at, just like taking it off the rack. I think Cade is another one I'd kind of put in that category.
Right.
So, yeah, I think the guys who I'd expect to do well, probably Buddy,
I think Tyler Hero could do well.
Yeah, I think Tyler Hero could do well. Dame, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Johnson, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, rooting for Norm.
One quick thing before we move on to our Raptors homer moment. We had Steve Kerr last night complaining, which a lot of the comments were like, Steve Kerr always complains, which maybe, about NBA scheduling and back-to-back games. He went a step further, I think, than usual by saying the league doesn't care about things like rest and just ratings. Do you agree?
I do agree. I do think I've kind of been on this boat for a few seasons now, where obviously having my fandom in other sports, I don't think you need 82 games. I think it's just way too many, especially when you look at the choice that people have in terms of how they can spend their downtime, whether it's, watching Netflix or whatever it might be. I think there's just way too much choice now, where 82 games is way too many. You should be at a point where you don't have back-to-backs at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough evidence to show that quality, game quality goes down, individual player quality is not the same, and then more and more you're seeing teams and players take matters into their own hands, right? Where if it's a back-to-back, they're only playing one half of the back-to-back. So why are we still doing this? And the answer is greed. So I do think at a bare minimum, it should come down to 70. Ideally, for me, it would be a 58 game schedule where everyone just plays each other twice.
58.
And that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Just everyone plays each other twice. We don't need anything more than that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that the league definitely just cares about the ratings and the money. And I feel like I've been a bit critical of Adam Silver on this podcast, even though please hire me, give me money. Adam Silver, I have ideas. But I do feel like the league has run on a profits first basis, which obviously it's a business and they're going, I'm not saying don't care about profits, but like, oh my God. Anyway, just this dog is driving me crazy today. I'm not saying don't care about profits, but like you need to care about the quality of the games also. And I think like, back-to-back suck, but they do suck like right before an all-star break. I kind of like, I do get it. I do get the complaint. Maybe if they had won that game, he might not have been so salty. I will say that. Like, if the Warriors won, then maybe he would have been in a bit of a cheerier mood.
Mhm.
But yeah, the league does need to eliminate back-to-backs. And I think like I like that Steve Kerr complains, because I like that he has the guts, so to speak, to like say what's on his mind. Like a lot of coaches wouldn't go that far for fear of being fined or whatever, which I completely understand. But I think someone like Steve Kerr has so much status that he can get away with it. Like they're just like the Warriors are just going to pay his fine if he gets fined. You know what I mean? Like, and they're not going to think anything of it. So I feel like for people like him, he should be speaking out, and he should be sticking up for the players in that sense too. So I it's a complaint that I agree with, but I also just like that he's a complainer in general.
I can get behind that.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Sorry. I don't Everyone who is listening and watching to this podcast, I appreciate you, and I apologize for these extra pauses due to the pup. I'm letting her chew on wait, what? No, now she's sniffing around for something else. All right. Anyway, my post-it note holder. That's fine. It won't harm her. Okay. Raptors Homer moment. Are we ready?
Yes, I am ready. Always
Wow. Could we have some more enthusiasm, Vivek?
ready. Are we ready? I am ready. Let's go.
There we go. Thank you. Before it was like, yeah, I'm ready. Anyway, okay, Raptors Homer moment. Brandon Ingram. Wow. Didn't see this coming. He's here. He has signed an extension. I feel like a lot of people are pro/confused about the move, like why Brandon Ingram, why now? Positionally, he is a little redundant, but we've gotten him at a quote good deal. I don't really get into the money part of it because I'll just go mad if I think about the hundreds of millions of dollars. You know what I mean? So I haven't gotten into it from that perspective, but by all accounts, he's been signed in a way that is a good deal, that he isn't gonna, he is tradable if we ever need to. But Vivek, what are your thoughts on Brandon Ingram joining the Raptors?
I'm excited. I like Brandon Ingram as a player. I think he is someone that could fit in well. I think that he fits what the Raptors are trying to do now and what the Raptors are trying to do beginning next season, because
Right.
he is injured and so he won't be playing much down the stretch here.
Do
And
you know when
so
he comes back?
there's no official timetable on him. So Darko Rajakovic said they're going to be evaluating him on a bi-weekly basis.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's like likely not to play this season.
Yeah, so they didn't give an official timeline. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to at least see a few games of him together with Scotty just to see what it looks like. Have some kind of film to work with going into the off season, that
Like in
type of thing.
April?
Maybe mid March, mid to late March, maybe, and we see him for a stretch there. That wouldn't
Yeah, like
surprise
get him
me.
in for like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, yeah. But I think some of that might also have to do with the fact that the Raptors have such an easy schedule to close out the year, that just having him in there is going to make it very, very difficult to lose.
Right. Yeah.
So they might just say, hey, you know what? We're fine with just like getting to work in the off season and just building your body back up as best we can. So, yeah, I think, the injury concerns are fair. I don't think they need to be. I think it's been overplayed by some of the media who have kind of run with this catch line of, oh, he hasn't played at least 65 games since his rookie season, and I think that's a bit disingenuous because in 2019 20 and then in 2020-21 he played 61 and 60 games, and those were two 72 game seasons. So
Right.
that's the equivalent of playing 70 games in an 82 game season. So I think that sort of line has been overselling the injury status. Last year as well, he had played 63 of the first 69 games, and then he hurt himself on a Jalen Suggs drive where he hyperextended his knee, and then he ended up missing like the final 12 of 13 games. And so he ends up with 64 games on the season, you know?
Right.
So I think that whole 65 game number has been kind of misused in terms of projecting his health. And I do believe Bobby when he says that they have the best medical staff in the league. I think Kawhi Leonard is evidence of that.
Yep. I agree.
So I think that they'll do a good job in terms of addressing whatever issues they feel he might have or things that he could do better. Because if there is one pattern that stood out with Brandon, it's probably that, you know, when he does get hurt, he kind of ends up missing an extended period. And so I think that's probably the one thing that they'll look at and say, how can we mitigate that? But beyond that, I think he's an all-star caliber player. I think he's someone that can take big shots for this team, and I think they're lacking that. I think, you know, when the offense gets stuck in mud, he's someone they can just throw the ball to, and he'll get to his spot and get a good shot for him off. I think his playmaking is underrated. I think, you know, because he has such a reputation as a scorer, I don't think people really talk about his playmaking as much, but he is a pretty unselfish guy for someone who is very much a scorer. And then defensively, I think he's a solid defender. I'm not going to say he's a great defender. I think he's a solid defender, and I think next to Scottie and Yak, he'll thrive. So I think there's a lot of reasons to like the deal, and I think, you know, having it at a 3-year 120 mark is probably something that feels like a sweet spot for both sides.
I think those are a lot of great points. One thing I've been wondering and would love your opinion on is, like, do you feel like him joining the team puts a bit of pressure on the guys that we've been trying to develop?
Not just on the guys who are trying to develop. I think it puts pressure on RJ. I think it puts pressure on quickly on Scottie as well. Because one of the things I wrote about over at Raptors in 7 is that I don't think the Raptors make this move if they didn't feel Scottie was ready for it, and that there was a big leap to be made.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think this is also a bet on Scottie, saying, hey, I think we're ready to do big things next year. I think we really like what we've seen from you this year. And so I think from that standpoint, it does put some pressure on the likes of quickly RJ and Scottie to say, okay, it's go time now. Like, you know, there's not going to be any more excuses about, oh, you know, we're just trying to lose games and whatever it is. Next year is about winning on the court. And especially if you have another top 5 pick to add to that mix.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, everyone. Sorry.
They're the ones who are going to have pressure and expectation. I think, you know, there is going to be some pressure on the guys who are going to be coming off the bench to kind of, you know, if you get into a situation where the starting 5 is very successful, you don't want to see the bench kind of just constantly giving away leads or something like that. Then I would say there's a bit of pressure, right?
Right.
But if they can just do enough to, you know, maintain, and, you know, I think in terms of the ideal, the absolute best outcome is you kind of go into next season and all these guys, Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Jonathan Mobo, kind of combine to be this new bench mob 2.0. And it's an awesome season. But I do think realistically, with a bunch of them going into their second year, Grady going into his third year, and Ochai obviously more experienced as well, there will be some lows and there will be some learning moments. And so Yeah, I do think expectations are going to be there. Pressure is going to be there, but it is the time for expectations. It is the time for pressure.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I agree. I think that's probably why I like the move the most, is because it's going to put that pressure on him, and that's what we need. Sorry, there we go. I lost my tab for a second. Again, because of this dog. Listen, if I put her in the crate, she'll whine the whole time, you know? So we're working on it, everyone. We're working on it. But yeah, that's the thing I like the most about this trade, is the fact that it is going to put pressure on them, and then we're going to really see what we have and be able to go from there. So it makes me really excited for next season. For sure. Okay. I think it's time for Hottie Highlight.
Let's go.
Hottie highlight of the week. Okay, so we've got two NBA options here. One is Jamal Murray scoring 55 points. Currently the highest scoring Canadian in a game ever, a record I imagine will get broken at some point, but still very impressive. Or is it JJ Reddick on the sidelines? He can't stop smiling at Luka. He has to tell himself to stop, to get it together. That's how much he can't stop smiling.
uh, as appealing as that second option is, by the way, it's kind of wild watching JJ like get off his seat for timeouts and then realizing, because like coaches generally aren't his size.
Right, that's true. Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's just walking over and he's just like one of them.
Yeah.
So that part of it is amusing too. But I think I will go with option one just because of the drama that comes with it. And
Oh,
uh, the
what's the
little,
drama that comes with it?
oh, you don't know about the Canada beef going on here.
No.
So in the there was a bit of trash talk between Delano Banton and Jamal Murray.
Okay. During this game?
No. So
No.
basically,
Okay.
the Nuggets had 2 consecutive games against Portland, and so in the
Yes.
last game on Feb 10th, Delano had some words for Jamal, and so they were kind of going back and forth at it, and so we had a little local tension, and Jamal said, "Okay, we'll see about that trash talking next game," and he comes out and drops 55 on him.
Buddy, I didn't even realize that part.
So there you go. That's the winner for me.
Ooh,
I'll
that
send you the
makes it
clip.
extra spicy. Yes. Which is like, it's also funny to me because, as you know, well, I'm from Mississauga, but like being in Toronto, you don't expect Kitchener to beat you in anything, respectfully. Shout out to Kitchener. I'm just saying, you know. So it's surprising when Kitchener does win.
Yeah.
But they I feel like I'm happy for Kitchener, even though, you know, geographically I'm closer to the Kipling bus, shout out Delano Banton, than anything else. But yeah, oh baby. And then we had this whole Tristan Thompson thing last night.
Yeah, the Canadians are getting a little feisty.
Yeah, where he like dunks at the end of a blowout, and then he's like trash talking, and then he's like trash talking on Twitter, being like, enjoy your like tank season or whatever. I'm paraphrasing here. And he's like, but that's my city, and we're like, we don't really claim you like that.
Yep.
Also, it's like, it's one thing, okay, you've dunked and it's like you know, it's garbage time, blah blah blah. You're playing garbage minutes. So how much of a flex is that? Like,
Yep.
that's the part of it where I'm so confused. I'm like, okay, you're on the winning team, but you are playing garbage time, and that's the only time you get. And you're flexing like you're a big deal? No. No. And
Yeah.
and then there's the whole Kardashian of it all, and I just really can't. Yeah.
He's doing what he's got to do to stay relevant.
Key. relevant. Yeah. That would, I mean, Tristan Thompson's name is not one that I thought I would say
And here we
today.
are,
And here we are.
2025, still saying it.
Somehow. Yes, we are. Well, the dog finally decided to get sleepy as we're
Of
wrapping
course,
up here. Oh my
Murphy's Law.
God. Murphy's Law. But thank you everyone for listening, for joining us. We'll see how crate trained she is next week. You know, it's a process. I saw people's comments last week saying, you know, she's really cute and stuff. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Vivek, let us know what you're up to and where we can find you on the internets.
Yeah, so I've got my Raptors Substack going. It's called Raptors in 7, and then making it free for the whole season, so you can go check it out, so you know what you're getting. And I've had pretty much all my Brandon Ingram takes on there. So if you want a more detailed version of what we discussed today, you can go check that out. Besides that, you can find my work at Sportsnet, at Sportscasting and Basketball Insiders. You can follow it all on Twitter and Blue Sky now at Vivek M. Jacob.
Amazing. Thanks, Vivek. Thank you, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.